last week I was walking in the street with a friend, and it was in Krevenwalk. I was walking back from a shir, and as I was walking, a friar, not from Jew, comes past, and he says, "Do we walking with house for him?" And he says, "You Frummers," or something he said about you Frummers. Yes, you were educated in Yiddishkeit and everything else, and that's why you're from. We weren't educated in Yiddishkeit. That's why I'm not from. So I said to him, "You weren't educated in Yiddishkeit at all? That you knew nothing?" He says, "Yes, we were educated." Can you ask him, "Can you read?" He said, "You can read." So I said, "Do you daven?" He says, "No." I said, "Well, if you can read, why don't you daven? Do what you can do, what you've learned." We only do what we can do. There's lots of things that people make mistakes and they don't do because they don't know. I was to say the same way as you. Anyway, I said to him, "You know, Adam was given one mitzvah. He shouldn't eat from the tree. One tree. You know? All the garden you can eat. From the whole garden you can eat. Except for one fruit in the garden you can't eat. It's disputable which fruit, but never mind. One fruit you can't eat. And that Adam couldn't keep. That's why the curse of death comes from Adam. Because he only had one mitzvah. Well, everything you were allowed to do except one thing, and he couldn't keep himself back. So I said to him, you married a Jewish girl? No, he said he married out. I said, if you married out, that you were educated from your parents, why didn't you keep that? So you had a few things which you were educated. You were taught to read, you don't daven. You were taught not to marry out, and you married out. Even the things you were taught you didn't keep. At least, I don't understand what some of these Yidden, because they weren't taught the full Torah, or a whole load of Torah like we are taught today. We are also not taught everything. There's lots of people who make mistakes and don't know and do things which are not supposed to do. Lots of Yingelato who I know, they can go with strockers and stramelach and everything else, and they still make us. I saw somebody doing a mistake in Hilchos Shabbos. He didn't know. It doesn't make, he wasn't taught, so now he'll do everything. I know from Amnum Yitzchak they say that, how did he start becoming from? He learned the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. And what he learned in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, that he kept. So there was a time when he kept half of Shabbos, and half of Shabbos he didn't keep, because he hadn't learned it yet. He learned what he kept, what he learned he kept. But I said to this man, you learned not to marry out, and even though you married out, you're disgusting. And somebody was a bit shocked that I talked so strongly to him. I said to him, your way of being tolerant towards them has already passed. We have got to go now the shock way and tell him the truth. Tell him that you don't learn, you don't read, and you're ignorant. You know what's brought so many Balachievas? That they've been shown they're ignorant. They've been shown they cannot read, they cannot daven. They've been shown that way, and that's what has made them come back and turn and starting learning and starting knowing. For somebody I heard once that there's more education in Reform synagogues than there is education in the United synagogues. And I can believe it is true, because they think they've already made it just by belonging to the United synagogue. They've already made it. A few weeks ago, I go into a shop, and a kosher shop, one of these groceries, and in front of me there's a lady, and she's buying kololim, kiloi, hamodia, Israeli hamodia, and another load of papers, load of papers, which costs about £12, and she says to the man, write it down. I said to the man, are you mad? If she comes in for food necessities in life, milk and bread, which you need, I understand. You say write it down. She might not have to afford it, and she hasn't got the money, and so she writes it down. And I'm helping. When she can afford it, she'll pay. But for newspapers, and she says noch, and she needs it for Shabbos. She can't make a Shabbos without it. I said to the man like this: she's owing you money, and you're having to borrow money from the bank, which is costing you charges, which you're putting on each product which you're selling. That means I'm paying more for the product I'm buying because she owes money. Is that right? Why should I pay more? Then you have tanas on me. Then you say to me, why do I go to the koil shop where you have to pay COD? Why do I go there? Of course I go there. There's no owing money there, and everything is made cheaper. Why should I have to pay a fortune? I paid for something in once a product I bought in the koil shop 60 pence cheaper, £2 something. One thing was £2.55 in the normal shops, and it was £1.95 in the koil shops. Why should I have to pay 60 pence more on a product because you go and give allow a person to write down in your books, and you're having to borrow money from the bank, which costs you money? I don't think it's right. I think people are wrong with that completely.